In the depths of space, far from the bright blue marble called Earth, the warlike Zorgan Empire seethed with resentment. For generations, Zorgan leaders had watched the upstart humans expand rapidly across the stars, their technology and influence growing at a pace that unsettled the ancient empire. Emperor Zoltox slammed a clawed fist on the obsidian table, his red eyes blazing. The humans mock us with their progress. He snarled to his council of advisors. They think themselves the rising power in the galaxy. It's time we put them in their place. Murmurs of assent echoed through the War Council. The Zorgans had built their empire on conquest and subjugation of lesser species. It was high time the humans learned this lesson too. We will crush them swiftly, General Zord declared confidently. Their feeble defenses will crumble before our armada. Earth will burn and their colonies will be ours. Plans were drawn up, fleets assembled, and soldiers roused to bloodlust by fiery imperial speeches. But the humans were not entirely unprepared. On Earth, in an unassuming government building, a weary intelligence analyst rubbed his eyes and reached for another coffee. Unusual chatter and movement had been detected at the edges of Zorgan space. Something big was brewing. Scattered reports made their way up the chain of command. Eyes widened. Emergency meetings were called. Humanity had known this day would come, when their breakneck advancement would draw the ire of the established galactic powers. World leaders were roused from their sleep, briefed on the looming threat. Hurried communications crisscrossed the planet as humanity prepared to face its greatest challenge yet. Though outwardly calm, apprehension gripped even the most stalwart of Earth's defenders. The Zorgans' reputation for cruelty and military might was well known. How could Earth hope to stand against the most feared empire in the galaxy? What price would be paid in the defense of mankind's homeworld? Mere months remained until Zorgan warships would darken the skies of Earth. A desperate plan began to take shape. Earth's greatest minds and fiercest warriors must band together for any hope of survival. The countdown to war began, a battle for nothing less than humanity's right to exist free among the stars. In the belly of the massive Zorgan dreadnought conquest, Emperor Zoltox stood before his assembled army, a predatory grin spreading across his reptilian face. "Our victory is assured," he bellowed, voice carrying across the cavernous hangar deck. "These humans are primitive, soft, and weak. They have grown arrogant in the absence of true challenge. We will make them regret their hubris." The assembled Zorgan soldiers cheered, their cries echoing off the battle-scarred bulkheads. They had waited long decades for new worlds to conquer and plunder, and the blue gem known as Earth promised great riches. More importantly, the subjugation of humanity would cement Zorgan hegemony in the galaxy for centuries to come. As the fleet moved out, disappearing into swirling hyperspace windows towards Earth, a sense of unease loomed. Despite the Emperor's bluster, humans had proven surprisingly inventive and tenacious in their expansion. They consistently exceeded Zorgan estimates of their capabilities. On Earth, this very inventiveness was on full display as an eclectic team assembled in an underground bunker. Dr. Ella Rayner, Earth's preeminent xenotech expert, huddled over her workbench alongside grizzled General John Maverick. "If these schematics you procured are correct," Dr. Rayner said warily, "then the Zorgans may have a critical vulnerability in their shield systems. A focused EM pulse at the right frequency could bring them down, at least temporarily." "Perfect," Maverick growled. "Then we can hit them with everything we've got and bring those scaly bastards down. I've got pilots ready to fly suicide missions if that's what it takes." Scientists and soldiers worked frantically to develop, test, and implement 100 desperate plans. New weapons, jury-rigged from cutting-edge human tech, and scraps of gleaned alien knowledge, took shape. The Zorgans were coming with overwhelming force, but they would not find the humans cowering in fear. If Earth was to fall, it would not be without a fight that would echo through the ages. Maverick gazed grimly at the tactical display, showing the converging alien fleet. "We'll show them what human courage and determination can do," he muttered. "This is our home, and we'll make them bleed for every inch of it. The Zorgan fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the edges of the solar system, the ponderous dreadnoughts arranged in a smothering phalanx. To the invaders, Earth hung ripe and defenseless, its meager orbital platforms barely registering as threats. "Signal the fleet," Emperor Zoltox purred. "Begin the assault." Beams of searing energy and rains of plasma lanced down on the blue planet as the Zorgans announced their presence. Earth's defensive systems, so painfully prepared, were swept away in the opening moments. Swarms of Zorgan landing craft followed, disgorging hordes of battle-hungry troopers and hulking war machines. Major Earth cities became battlegrounds as human defenders desperately fought for every street and building. At first, the Zorgans' advance seemed unstoppable, their superior numbers and firepower forcing humanity back on all fronts. Crying children were bundled into overcrowded shelters as soldiers grimly manned their posts, determined to buy the civilians time with their lives if necessary. But in the darkest moments, human will and ingenuity began to tell. A team of humans, led by the implacable General Maverick, managed to infiltrate a landed Zorgan ship. In a daring raid, they seized key technology and codes that Dr. Rayner could exploit. "I can bring their shields down," she exclaimed, fingers flying over her keyboard, "transmitting the vulnerability to our forces now." Across the globe, human resistance fighters rallied. Missiles and rockets streaked skyward, energy weapons probed at weakened Zorgan screens. The invaders began to take losses, their advance stalling as they reeled from humanity's defiant stand. Emperor Zoltox howled with rage as reports streamed in of his forces being pushed back. What should have been an easy conquest was turning into a pitched battle against a cornered but unbroken foe. Hope began to rekindle in human hearts. They had bloodied the invincible Zorgans, shown that the conquerors could be made to bleed. Grim-faced men and women gripped their weapons tighter and fought on with renewed determination. Earth would not fall quietly into the night, not while a single human drew breath. Stunned by the ferocity of human resistance and reeling from the exploited weaknesses in their technology, the Zorgan invasion faltered. Mighty Zorgan battleships, once thought invincible, burned in the skies over Earth's cities, brought crashing down by the Maverick's daring EM-pulse stratagem. With renewed confidence and vigor, Earth's forces surged forward in a daring counteroffensive. Strike teams launched hit-and-run raids on Zorgan assets, steadily eroding the attackers' ability to wage war on human soil. Sabotage missions left grounded Zorgan landers smoldering wrecks. Dr. Rayner and her team worked feverishly to unlock more secrets from captured Zorgan hardware. Each new insight led to adaptations and breakthroughs in human weapons. The technical gap between the species narrowed daily. On the ground, human resilience and tenacity wore down the Zorgans. For all their martial bluster, the invaders had grown soft after centuries of bullying weaker foes. They were unprepared for the sheer determination of humans fighting for hearth and home. Impromptu militias of armed citizens wreaked havoc on Zorgan supply lines. Snipers took a grim toll on the lizard-like officers. Most stunning to the Zorgan commanders were the humans who voluntarily gave their lives to deny the enemy victory. The grizzled sergeant who detonated a bridge as Zorgan armor crossed, consigning both to the churning waters below. The wounded pilot who rammed her damaged fighter into an enemy troop transport. The lone soldier who fought to his last bullet to buy time for civilians to evacuate. Such self-sacrifice for kin and cause was utterly alien to Zorgan culture. In his flagship above, Emperor Zoltox raged at the incompetence of his commanders. He ordered more troops to the surface, heedless of the mounting casualties. His surprise attack had somehow turned into a war of attrition, one ill-suited to his people's mindset and tactics. Doubt crept into the hearts of the Zorgan soldiers. The humans should have crumpled before their might, yet they fought on like demons out of legend. For the first time in generations, the Zorgans faced an enemy that could not only fight back, but was slowly turning the tide. The entire invasion teetered on the precipice, a few key victories from being pushed into full retreat. In a command bunker deep beneath the wreckage of New York City, General Maverick wearily leaned over a flickering tactical display, hardly daring to hope. The Zorgan attack had crested, stopped, and now, incredibly, was being driven back. They're falling back to their landing zones, a junior officer reported, voice trembling with exhausted elation. Their fleet is repositioning into a defensive wedge. It looks like they're preparing to withdraw. Maverick allowed himself a grim smile. The Zorgans had come to conquer, but found they had kicked a hornet's nest. Human forces, buoyed by hard-fought victories and alien tech breakthroughs, had finally gained the upper hand. Across the globe, the story was the same. Pockets of Zorgan troops, cut off and surrounded, laid down their arms before the human fury. Their once vaunted war machines lay twisted and burning. The great Zorgan armada, shattered and depleted, limped towards the stars in abject defeat. Emperor Zoltax, seething in impotent rage, could only watch as his great invasion crumbled. Advisors who dared voice the unthinkable, that they had gravely underestimated the humans, were summarily executed. But no amount of bluster could change the stark reality that mighty Zorgans were in full rout before a species they had dismissed as primitive. But victory had come at a terrible price. Earth's cities lay in ruin, millions had perished in the fierce fighting, and though they had won this battle, humanity grimly understood that a terrible new era had dawned, one in which Earth was now a player on a galactic stage and a target for every would-be conqueror. General Maverick, Dr. Rayner, and the other heroes of the Resistance vowed that Earth would never again be caught unprepared. The technologies and strategies that had proven the Zorgans' undoing would be expanded and refined. Earth would reach to the stars, seek allies and knowledge to ensure its place in the cosmos. And as the rebuilding began, monuments rose to the courage and sacrifice of those who had stood fast against overwhelming odds and triumphed. Humanity had suffered grievous wounds, but emerged tempered in the fire, ready to shape its own destiny among the stars. The Zorgan invasion had been a crucible that tested the mettle of the human spirit, and in that trial, mankind had emerged bloodied but unbowed, steeled in their determination that Earth would endure, that its people would never again be victims, that humanity would not go quietly into the galactic night. The Zorgans had come to reap a conquest, but found to their ruin that the humans would not be so easily broken. A corner had been turned in this chapter of Earth's history, and what new adventures awaited would be on mankind's own terms. The galaxy beckoned, and by their courage and resolve, humans had earned their place in it.